Hello and welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello. Right, so we did a video ages ago called How to Get More from Your Blues Junior, or something like that. How to make the best of your Fender Blues Junior. By the way, number one, please subscribe. There's a red orangey thing down there. If you're not already a subscriber,
Hold my hand.
hover your
Dan's lonely.
selection device of choice over it and it will enable you to subscribe. So please subscribe to That Pedal Show on YouTube. Thank you very much. 2, there is all world of activity happening around that pedal shed today. We've got some roadworks out the back. We've got something happening that way and we've got something happening that way. So if you hear loads of extraneous noise, it's not amplifiers dying, it's
Simply the energetic atmosphere that we found ourselves in the middle of.
Yeah, lucky to be a part of. Right?
Awesome. Love that.
So how to get more from your Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. Now the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe is probably, I don't have any evidence for this, but it's probably the most popular professional valve amplifier available. If you go into any venue, pretty much, most touring stages, you know, supplied backline, it is an absolute staple of the guitar amplifier market, and I do happen to know that they sell many times more Fender Hot Rod Deluxes than most other amplifiers.
Okay, when was it released?
Okay, so a bit of a shaky history here. There was a guy called Richie Fliegler, I believe, who was at Fender. And as you know, Fender amps are the most important guitar amps in history because Leo Fender started making guitar amps before he started making guitars.
Ah,
true.
Awesome.
With Doc Kaufman, I think. KNF.
Right.
I think that's what that was. Anyway, and some of those early Fender designs, right from the first very low wattage ones, all the way through the Tweed era, all the way through the Blackface era, and then on past the Blackface era, supremely important. As we get to the mid-late 70s, amplifier design starts changing radically. So, I promise this will be quick. Guys like Randall Smith come along, guys like Dumble come along, Paul Revere, who may have worked at Fender, I don't know, so excuse that, who started modding.
Yeah, Paul did work at Fender. He
modded stuff like Lukather's Deluxe.
Yeah, there's a great video of that going around at the moment.
Okay, so amplifier design starts moving on. On we go, on we go, on we go. Fender get to the point, 1990s, need a bit of an injection into what's cool. And I think, I'm going to have to check this, Richie Fliegler was in charge of the Hot Rod. They weren't called the Hot Rod at that point, they were called the Blues Deluxe and Blues DeVille. They were tweed, 2-channel design, that basically reinvented the 1x12, 2x12 and 4x10 combos for Fender, post things like Silverface Twins, post things like Red Knob Twins. So a really important evolutionary step, and they've gone on to evolve from there. So the Blues Deluxe at some point then becomes the Hot Rod Deluxe.
Right, okay.
And then the Hot Rod series is now in its 3rd revision. So this is version 3. This is a Hot Rod Deluxe version 3.
So it's based on a Deluxe, an old...
I think it's called Deluxe because that's obviously a key name for Fender. It doesn't sound much like a Deluxe.
No, and it's also a lot louder, isn't it? It's 40 watts.
Yeah, because it's so the as part of the Hot Rod series, or at least the amps in that lineage, you've got the Pro Junior, the Blues Junior, which is 15 watts. You've then got Hot Rod Deluxe, which is 40, Hot Rod DeVille, which is 60, and
2x12?
2x12 or 4x10. So this is the 1x12 Hot Rod Deluxe that everybody knows and loves, and a good many of you watching this will own.
It sounds nice.
Yeah, it's a good amp. So let's go through some of the features. Dan, if you would play. Today we've got a camera hanging over the amplifier, sorry. So when I get up here and change things, you can see what's going on. So I'm just going to talk you through the basics of the amp.
Okay.
This is the clean channel. So what you hear is very high headroom, lovely clean channel. It's got a bright switch which I turned on and off.
Right.
Obviously, and I messed around with the EQ, which you can see on the amp cam. Now, if you hit that with some overdrive.
Oh man. Sounds ace.
So that's the D&M Drive that you heard. Just let's listen to the other side just for a sec.
Sounds ace.
Anything wrong with that?
Not at all.
Okay, that's a clean channel, and I'm just going to do something for a second.
Ah, very good.
Introduce the sound level meter of doom, because one thing that the Hot Rod Deluxe is pretty loud.
That's War of the Worlds.
It is. It's like a ding. So I'm going to place it on the full tone stand of doom. Sorry, I sound like Greg Koch. What?
Have you seen his latest Viking video?
Oh, he's just...
Oh, that guy. Very much looking forward to having Greg Koch on the show. There we go.
Right, okay, sound level meter of doom. Dan, give that a thwack without the D&M Drive. So we're pushing 110 dB easy there at about 2 meters or so from the amp, at 2 on the master volume.
Wow.
So it's pretty loud.
Yeah.
It's pretty loud, and that's one of the things that a lot of people find difficult to manage with the clean channel, because it's loud and it's very high headroom. However, the advantage of that is if you turn it down, here you go, let's turn it down. And then hit it with, as we were doing. And one of the reasons that people say it is a great pedal amp is because it has all that headroom in the first channel. Obviously sounds good with the old Strat. This guitar is so much quieter than that one.
Awesome.
It's definitely a Fender. It's definitely... I mean, it's not actually not that mid-scoopy. If you think about a black face Fender, it doesn't have that. It's got a more pronounced mid-range.
What's the EQ on there? Is it bass, middle and treble?
Yeah, bass, middle and treble. And currently, they're all about in the middle.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, they're all about in the middle.
Nice.
So that's, you know, a very brief overview of the clean channel. Any questions?
No, I have some overall questions after, but nothing specifically about the clean channel. It all makes complete sense. As Paul Gilbert would say, I understand completely.
All right, so one thing that the Hot Rod Deluxe is often criticised for is the gain channel.
Ah.
Because some people say it doesn't sound great or they can't get a good sound out of it.
Okay.
I'm going to tell a little story. I was at John Henry's doing an interview with Joe Bonamassa, and he says, can you get me an amp to use for when we do the video interview? And I'm like, yeah, great, what do you want? He said, oh, you know, anything's fine, twin, whatever, Hot Rod Deluxe, whatever. And I think we ended up using a Hot Rod DeVille, a 212 maybe, but just got it. He got his Les Paul, plugged into the Overdrive channel and sounded
godlike.
Exactly like Joe Bonamassa. And I was like, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? So let's see if we can get some good sounds out of the Overdrive channel, Dan. Right, so let's remind ourselves of the clean channel. Okay, I'm going to switch to the Overdrive channel now. Observations?
Spiky? Spiky, a bit harsh. Is that one of the complaints that people would have?
Yep, and did you notice how much better it got when you turned it up? When I turned it up?
Yeah.
So it can sound a bit scratchy at lower volumes.
And the thing is, most people are going to be playing it. Low volumes.
So let's
let's
here's the maximum amount of drive in the first mode of the Overdrive channel. So it's kind of
raunchy,
not a natural high gain amp.
Yeah.
We're going to change guitars in a minute, but for now, here's the there's a second mode,
right,
which is this.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can see why it's got a reputation for being a bit scratchy.
Yeah.
I'll just hit it with some humbuckers for a second and see what that sounds like. More drive. Presence and treble down a bit. I'm going to go back onto the regular drive mode. You can see all this in the thingy cam.
Interesting.
Two things. One, I don't think that's a bad gain sound at all.
No.
Two, I can never get the mix low enough on that when it's in
There's.
when it's not wet dry.
Yeah. There's. I need to replace the pot
Oh, do you?
in that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go on then. Give some Les Paul on the gain. Sorry. Sorry, we have had a technical nightmare with everything else today, so this is just continuing on that level. Right, I just noticed, as you will have been screaming at the screen when we first put the sound meter in, the sound meter could not see, this camera could not see the sound meter.
Right.
So, anyway, right, fine. Sorry, as you were.
I mean, that a Fender can make that noise?
I don't think that sounds bad at all.
No. I think it suits humbuckers.
Yeah, it does.
That tight
Needs
bottom
to push
end
it.
and that mid range.
So if you just play, I'll switch back to the clean channel. So what the Overdrive channel, I'm just going to get rid of this because it's annoying me and I reckon it might be pushing the focus of this camera up.
Okay.
Don't know if you picked up on it, but the Overdrive channel definitely cuts a load of bass.
Yeah.
When Dan was playing on the Les Paul there, when we went back to the clean channel, it started shaking the room in terms of the bottom end for the cleans, which is why the cleans are so nice. And in the Overdrive, obviously, it cuts a load of that bass to keep you...
But it shares an EQ, right? They're not separate?
Yeah.
Right, but there's a... When you switch to the Overdrive channel, there's like a...
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Because
Very
it's
cool.
a separate
Yeah,
channel,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it'll
very
EQ.
cool.
And most, to be fair, most amps do that. When you switch
Right.
to the gain channel, they cut a load of bass.
Yeah.
Messers definitely do that. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know the Hot Rod Deluxe or does and just maybe wanted to see some different... Hungry, mate?
It's been, patience, my pet.
And who doesn't know the Hot Rod Deluxe and doesn't know what it's capable of, hopefully that will have given you an idea. And for anyone who does know it and just wants some different approaches or options, hopefully that was in some way helpful.
So far, I'm impressed.
Right.
This is the first time I've ever really sat down with one. And so far, I'm impressed.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
But I didn't think after going through the clean channel and the day channel, I would have thought by now I'd be going, yeah, okay.
Really?
Yeah, but
Even though it's the most popular valve amp on the planet?
I've heard some in some situations where they haven't sounded fantastic.
Yeah.
So, which is why I've never been inclined to search one out.
Interesting.
The first time I heard one and I went, oh wow, that's really nice, was when Mike Landau had his...
Yeah.
And I think he changes the speakers in his.
So Mike Landau has a DeVille, which is the 212.
Right.
60 watt.
Oh,
So it's got a
okay.
bigger power section, bigger box, 212s. He has a different speaker in it, and he basically gets rid of the drive channel and has two versions of a clean channel. So that's the Michael Landau signature one. Interesting. So Landau is a great example of someone who, if they're going to a venue and they don't know what amp's going to be there, they're quite happy if they see a Hot Rod Deluxe or DeVille.
Right.
Probably in his case a DeVille because he likes it loud and all the rest of it. And I know quite a few people like that who are just, if it's that, they're happy because they can plug pedals in and use the clean channel to do whatever they want. Okay, there's two more things we're going to do. One is we're going to just have a look at what happens when you feed the loop return with
preamps.
some preamps. A couple of people have asked for that because they know that that's what happens on my board here. And then secondly, we're going to have a little jaunt through the world of speakers. Right, okay.
Nice.
Okay, we're back. All I've done is I've unplugged the input of what was coming from the pedal board into the power amp return, which is the return of the effects loop.
Exactly.
Power amp in,
Yep.
which you can see on amp cam. I'm just going to check amp cam is still running, because everything else that's gone wrong today, technically, it wouldn't surprise me. What happens now is every single control on the front top panel is now out of the game, including the master volume,
Right.
except the reverb control.
Right.
So with no preamps, this is just this guitar hitting the effects return of that. Presence works as well, and I'm looking confused because
normally
it's
be
nothing
quite-
like that.
yeah.
But I think that's because the master's out, so that is literally it. The whole thing's wide open.
Yeah.
So you're just hitting the power amp straight from the guitar.
Yep.
Which is a much better sound than I thought it was ever going to be.
I like that.
Okay, so this is a valve preamplifier.
Yes.
So if you're plugged into the front end of your amp, you're hitting a valve preamp in this case, which is then hitting the power amp. By doing what we've done, taking the input out of the input, and I'm sorry if this is a bit slow, but we got some questions last time we did it. unplug from the input and plug in to the effects loop, return or the power amp in, you're removing that preamp.
You're bypassing the preamp, you're going straight to the power.
And we're replacing it with this, which is a Kingsley Maiden, which is based on essentially the clean channel of a Dumble Overdrive Special. So, Daniel, if you wouldn't mind, let's see what that sounds like. And I'm proving that it's working by turning it down to 0.
Every time I play the Maiden, I just sort of, it really affects me.
It's a good noise, isn't it?
The clarity, those transients are crazy.
Yeah, I think we might have just clipped a bit, so I'm going to turn the mic gain down a tiny bit. Because the power amp of the Fender is absolutely wide open. It's all on 10 essentially. So the Maiden is giving it plenty of grunt. So if we were to turn the master down.
Oh man. That's a lovely noise.
It's alright, isn't it? So that kind of answers the question. When we did the, when we've done stuff about hitting effects loop returns with valve preamp pedals before, people have gone, why would you want to do that? This might be one reason. That was stuck in the page, DS on top of the Maiden, which just gives you that extra gain channel. Interestingly, I'm really fighting to keep the volume down.
Yeah, because that is now the master.
Yeah,
for everything.
Because the power amp is so wide open.
Yeah.
And actually, that's an interesting point. If you want to get these really cooking, so in order to get the most overdrive, let's just do that again. I'll turn that down to nothing a minute. We need to really push these.
Right.
So give us some.
Oh my goodness.
Sounds right, doesn't it?
Boy.
It sounds pretty good. And of course, what you probably saw there was that there was just this huge variance in available overdrive, and good sound, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Let's contrast that a second by hitting the with a standard overdrive pedal.
Okay.
So if you just give us the clean sound again, which you should have.
I mean, that still sounds great. It doesn't. There's a harmonic richness when you include the Maiden.
It's kind of got more presence and more like it's buffered in a different way.
Yeah,
it's something to do with the output impedance, is it?
The output impedance of the valve preamps is actually reasonably high.
Yeah.
Whereas it's much lower coming from the D&M Drive. So that's gonna have a little bit to do with it, but it's more the harmonic content, the way that the valves are, you know, doing their thing.
There seems to be much more available presence and top end available from the valve preamp than there is from the standard overdrive pedal.
Yeah, I think that is particular to this preamp.
Okay.
You know, that's not a sort of unilateral statement that you can make about valve preamps generally.
Right, okay.
You know.
But what, you know, the useful thing for you if you're thinking about doing this is that with the master volume not active, that power amp is absolutely wide open. Which in a lot of other amps, certainly in the Victory V40, in my 2-rock, yeah, in those two amps and maybe others, the master volume stays active, or at least the loop return stays active on the 2-rock, and the master volume stays active on the Victory. So actually, normal overdrive pedals can sound pretty flat unless you turn it all the way up to 10. So yeah.
Awesome.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
And I think what we're going to come on to talk about now, which is going to be speakers, shows that I think that speaker was holding on to the bottom end pretty well.
Yeah. What is it? What's in there, do you know?
It's a Fender, whatever the standard spec is. I think it's a Fender special design, something or other. Anyway, we'll put that there and you'll know what it is. Common mod for Hot Rod Deluxes is to change the speaker, and we've got a couple of speakers we're going to get onto in a sec. Just before we do that, let's stop the preamps into the effects return, go back to the sound of the amp itself so that we're kind of back to normal. And I just want to hear the fuzz through it because we haven't heard fuzz yet.
Okay, great. And it was that easy.
Okay, so we're now back in to the front end of the amp. It's a great clean sound, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
A bit of fuzz. When Dan was playing the Les Paul, I switched between the clean channel and the overdrive channel.
Yep.
So what you heard is both of those guitars in the overdrive channel. Just
Yep.
go back to the clean channel.
Awesome.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
It's obviously into the clean channel the fuzz sounds spikier and more difficult.
Yep.
And into the overdrive channel you get a bit more smoothness.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have thought that was a Fender amp, would you? I wouldn't.
No, not from what I understand on all the Fenders that I've played, because I'm playing Tweed Deluxes and old Silverface Twins and things, so that's a world away from any of those sounds. You know.
Yeah.
Really great.
Yeah. Okay. How are we going to do this? Right. We've got two speakers to compare. So one, as we said earlier, one common mod in Hot Rod Deluxe is to change the speaker. So underneath the Hot Rod Deluxe, we've got two 1x12 cabinets. One has got a Celestion G12H75 Creamback. And the other has got a Celestion Alnico Cream, the 90-watt Alnico speaker. So well, there's going to be a bit of fiddling about, and there's going to be a bit of post-production involved in this.
Wiggly lines?
No wiggly lines, no on-screen graphics. Maybe some labels.
No, so we should do our Scooby-Doo wiggly lines.
Ah, yeah. We can't do it yet, though.
Okay.
Let's do it anyway.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Ooh. And we're back. Yeah, okay. So what's going to happen is you're going to hear some clean, some crunch, and some heavy overdrive.
Okay.
Through three different speakers. The Hot Rod Deluxe speaker, the G1275H heavy magnet Creamback. Yes! And the Alnico Cream. Three very, very different speakers. cannot wait to hear that back.
Yeah.
Obviously, just a brief explanation. We've got the same kind of microphone, Sennheiser E906 on each of the cabinets. They're positioned in the same place, relatively, on the speaker and in terms of the distance from the grill. And each of the cabinets is a 1x12 open back cab. The Celestion Alnico Cream was in a Hampstead cab. The Celestion G12 H75 Creamback was in a Zilla 1x12, custom 1x12. And of course the Fender standard speaker is in the amp chassis. And just a word on 1x12 cabs. People say, I can't see the point of 1x12 cabs because it's just the same as having a combo.
Ah.
And it's so not.
No.
It's so not, because you're losing all that space where the amp was.
Yeah, and yeah.
Anyway, blah, 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 separate point. So that's just a little explanation on how we did that speaker comparison there. And obviously we could have spent all day doing a speaker comparison, and this will encourage loads, 15 million comments on, please, can you do more speaker comparisons?
But how fascinating was it that how different the amp sounded with the different speakers?
I know which one you preferred straight away.
Yeah, but I love Alnico. There's something about them. The way they compress.
Did sound good, didn't it?
But for the rock thing, the G12M
H
Creamback heavy magnet.
Greenbacks come in two types. They come in 65 and 75.
Right. I mean, it sounded great.
Does sound good.
Yeah, but it was fascinating because I'm thinking, yeah, no, it sounds really good, the amp, and then I hear it through the Alnico. I think, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There's a player, you know.
Player. So, yeah, I can't wait to hear that back. It'll be fascinating to actually hear. Obviously, our perception of what we're hearing is different from what the mics
How was
hear.
it under the fingers?
Probably the Alnico Cream.
Really?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
But
I think it's interesting as well. You know,
we're not sat in the exact. Well, I suppose we are. I'm going to say we're not sat in exactly the same proximity, but we kind of are.
Yeah. Speaker choice it's 50% of the sound of the amplifier.
Oh, easy peasy.
Yeah.
I've done it for Victory. I've helped them out choosing speakers for various amps and cabs, and it's
amazing the difference it makes. And one speaker that might sound rubbish with one amplifier, put it with another one, and it's glorious.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
And I would also add to that, there is a cost issue when speccing a speaker.
Yeah.
Which, actually, if you're talking about any regular Celestion speaker, they're all kind of similar. They have a less expensive range and a more expensive Chinese-made Celestions, for example. And then if you want to change that to blue or Alnico, gold or cream, it's just off the scale.
Yep.
But for everyone out there who's saying, oh my God, why on earth did they put that speaker in that amp? They're not idiots.
Yeah.
They've spent time listening to it, and it might be that you just need to work a bit hard with it. However, I think we've probably proven that either of those speakers would make a great upgrade.
Yeah. And a simple upgrade, isn't it? You don't have to be a technical expert.
If the Alnico actually fits in there, I know 100% that it would.
That's an interesting.
It probably does, but please check before you do that. Because they're deeper.
I wonder what an EV12M would sound like in there.
Would sound awesome.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
Hope that was interesting.
Yeah, I found that fascinating.
Little bit of background on the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe and some cool sounds you can get out of it and some different ways you can use it. So before we go, thank you to all our Patreons.
Thank you so much.
Patrons on Patreon.
Yeah, really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you to our exclusive preferred retailers. In the USA is
Riff City Music.
In the UK and Europe is
Anderton's Music.
And in Australia is
Pedal Empire.
Way! And also thank you to everyone who's gone to that pedal show store and bought a garment of this type.
Yeah, or a coffee cup.
Yeah.
Or a beanie.
Yeah.
Very good. Brilliant, guys. Really hope you enjoyed that. And we will see you next week. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheerio.